Our next speaker is someone I actually know quite well. Tuyet is the Executive Director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice at Chicago, formerly the Asian American Institute. She's been focused on improving cooperation among diverse Asian American communities. When it's about strong communities, she's there. She's here right now. Tuyet.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am so honored to be here with you today to see this wonderful crowd. The word welcome is so simple, it's almost automatic. But to make it meaningful, it should be understood alongside the word courage. And to be welcoming is to have the courage to welcome a stranger as a neighbor, just as you have all done. To be truly welcoming is to see that stranger belonging there the whole time. This year marks the 40th anniversary of my family's arrival to the U.S. as refugees from Vietnam. And we were able to escape because my uncle, who was a Navy captain, negotiated a place for us in exchange for his navigation skills. He was originally told he could only bring his own family, but he turned that offer down, risking his own chance to escape in order to get his 7 siblings and their families onto the boat, 31 of us in all. And after several days at sea, a Taiwanese ship pulled alongside with orders to only rescue any Chinese refugees. And of the hundreds of us on that boat, only 2 were offered a spot, a father and a daughter. But they refused guaranteed safe passage unless we could all go with them. And the Taiwanese relented, allowing the women and children onto their ship, escorting the rest of us. And 2 days later, we were on our way to the United States. I always hear how impressed people are with Vietnamese refugees who came here with nothing and excelled beyond anyone's expectations. But what they leave out is that early Vietnamese families came here during a time when U.S. refugee policies supported them. We had case managers and food stamps and English tutors, and my family was allowed to come here, and we were then able to support each other. A Lutheran church in Milwaukee sponsored us and gave us free housing. Though we tried to make it on our own as quickly as possible, knowing that we had a safety net is what encouraged us to excel. U.S. immigration policies back then were humane and accepting rather than exclusionary and punitive. 26 years ago, I moved to the North Shore to begin college at Northwestern. For the most part, I was a typical freshman at Northwestern, but there was a difference. I had a disability. So I had to figure out how to get up at 9 a.m. for my Russian class, just like other students. But most other students didn't have to worry about whether they could make the mile-long walk across campus, or if the building had handrails for the steps to get into the building, or whether they could walk up the 2 flights of stairs to get to class. The assistant dean who worked with students with disabilities asked me to visit her office, the office that was on the 2nd floor of an inaccessible building. I remember standing outside that day wondering, how do I get into this building? I remember the anxiety of feeling alone. And I remember how it feels, that feeling that makes you shrink your aspirations. But I wasn't alone. Advocates for disability rights had been pushing for the passage of the ADA Act. And that summer, after I stared at that building wondering how to get in, the American Disabilities Act became law, and that was 25 years ago today. When I came back that fall, I asked that same assistant dean what the ADA would mean, and I was full of hope, and the ADA had raised my expectations and my aspirations. She told me that she didn't think the university would actually change. The buildings were too historic and the ramps were too expensive to add. That change would cost too much. Her message was clear. Money is more important than access and opportunity. She was wrong. Things did change. The barriers I faced were knocked down at Northwestern's campus and all over this country. And college is a critical time to imagine your future. And now I imagine with one with fewer barriers. And today, I'm the Executive Director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice. Now, you may not need the ADA, and you may not have to think about how to enter a building or your own home, but that's what privilege feels like, never having to think about how to get in. As a refugee and a person with a disability, there are countless ways that generous policies have helped me to reach my full potential. Yes, the march continues because there is still much to do. The march continues, and the march will require courage. Today, we celebrate the Civil Rights Movement and Dr. King's visit. We celebrate the passage of the ADA, and I invite you to celebrate the fact that 40 years ago, a little Lutheran church invented a new definition of community, one that included my family, that principles of inclusion, accepting the stranger among you as your neighbor, as your family, is one that we must have the courage to continue to fight for. Thank you.